Excess of liberty, whether it lies in state or individuals, seems only to pass into excess of slavery. It lies in state or individuals, seems only to pass into excess of slavery. Perhaps there is a pattern set up in the heavens for one who desires to see it, and having seen it, to find one in himself. There's a victory and defeat, the first and best of victories, the lowest and worst of defeats, which each man gains or sustains at the hands not of another, but of himself. The philosopher whose dealings are with divine order himself acquires the characteristics of order and divinity. Again, truth should be highly valued. If, as we were saying, a lie is useless to the gods and useful only as a medicine to men, then the use of such medicines should be restricted to physicians. Private individuals have no business with them. The judge should not be young. He should have learned to know evil, not from his own soul, but from late and long observation of the nature of evil in others. They, the poets, are to us in a manner the fathers and authors of the wisdom. It is right to give every man his due. That's what education should be, I said. The art of orientation. Educators should devise the simplest and most effective methods of turning minds around. It shouldn't be the art of implanting sight in the organ, but should proceed on the understanding that the organ already has the capacity, but is improperly aligned and isn't facing the right way. Not only is the old man twice a child, but also the man who is drunk. Is what is moral commanded by God because it is moral, or is it moral because it is commanded by God? The soul should concentrate itself by itself. Poets utter great and wise things which they do not themselves understand. This world is indeed a living being endowed with a soul and intelligence. A single visible living entity containing all other living entities, which by their nature are all related. The only real ill-doing is the deprivation of knowledge. Art has no end but its own perfection. No one punishes the evildoer under the notion or for the reason that he has done wrong. Only the unreasonable fury of a beast acts in that way. But he who desires to inflict rational punishment does not retaliate for a past wrong, for that which is done cannot be undone. But he has regard to the future, and is desirous that the man who is punished, and he who sees him punished, may be deterred from doing wrong again. We are bound to our bodies like an oyster to its shell. If particulars are to have meaning, there must be universals. The human race will have no respite from evils until those who are really philosophers acquire political power, or until, through some divine dispensation, those who rule and have political authority in the cities become real philosophers. For this feeling of wonder shows that you are a philosopher, since wonder is the only beginning of philosophy. That a guardian should require another guardian to take care of him is ridiculous indeed. Nothing can be more absurd than the practice that prevails in our country of men and women not following the same pursuits with all their strengths and with one mind, for thus the state, instead of being whole, is reduced to half. Excess generally causes reaction and produces a change in the opposite direction, whether it be in the seasons, or in individuals, or in governments. Until philosophers rule as kings, or those who are now called kings and leading men genuinely and adequately philosophize, that is, until political power and philosophy entirely coincide. While the many natures who at present pursue either one exclusively are forcibly prevented from doing so, cities will have no rest from evils, nor, I think, will the human race. Because it is correct to make a priority of young people, taking care that they turn out as well as possible. Only a philosopher's mind grows wings, since its memory always keeps it as close as possible to those realities by being close to which the gods are divine. When there is an income tax, the just man will pay more and the unjust less on the same amount of income. Nothing is more unworthy of a wise man, or ought to trouble him more, than to have allowed more time for trifling and useless things than they deserve. I exhort you also to take part in the great combat, which is the combat of life, and greater than every other earthly conflict. To do injustice is more disgraceful than to suffer it. Love consists in feeling the sacred one beating inside the loved one. That which is apprehended by intelligence and reason is always in the same state. but that which is conceived by opinion with the help of sensation and without reason is always in a process of becoming and perishing and never really is. Love is an intermediate state between possession and deprivation. If it is naturally in you to be a good orator, a notable orator you will be when you have acquired knowledge and practice. Justice is nothing more than the advantage of the stronger. Either death is a state of nothingness and utter consciousness, or as men say, there is a change and migration of the soul from this world to another. Now if death be of such a nature, I say that to die is to gain, for eternity is then only a single night. As the government is, such will be the man. Beauty is a natural superiority. Experience proves that anyone who has studied geometry is infinitely quicker to grasp difficult subjects than one who has not. No law or ordinance is mightier than understanding. He who can properly define and divide is to be considered a god. The god of love lives in a state of need. It is a need, it is an urge, it is a homeostatic imbalance. Like hunger and thirst, it's almost impossible to stamp out.